Was Prince Andrew being strategically prepped for a vital trade role, even after the devastating fallout from his Jeffrey Epstein connections became undeniable? The recent release of official papers suggests a far more calculated and perhaps cynical approach to damage control than many initially believed. This isn't just about royal appearances, it's about the very integrity of international dealings and public trust. Before we dive into the explosive details, if you want to stay on top of everything happening in US politics and the global ripples it creates, hit that subscribe button right now and leave a like. It genuinely helps this channel grow and ensures you don't miss any of our deep dives. Now, let's unpack this. The context here is crucial. These papers emerged only after lawmakers raised serious accusations that Prince Andrew had, in essence, prioritized his enduring ties to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein over the best interests of Britain. Think about that for a moment. A member of the royal family, accused of putting personal associations ahead of national duty, especially when those associations involve such horrific crimes. The very idea is enough to make your blood boil. The newly released documents reportedly detail discussions and preparations for Prince Andrew to take on responsibilities related to trade. This is where it gets particularly murky. These weren't just casual conversations, they appear to be part of a deliberate effort to reposition him, to find a role where his public profile, however tarnished, might still be leveraged. The timing is key. This supposed prep happened after the Epstein scandal had exploded into public view, after the allegations of sexual assault and exploitation had become front-page news worldwide, and after Prince Andrew himself had stepped down from public duties. So, why would anyone consider appointing him to a trade role at such a sensitive juncture? The released papers are said to shed light on the qualifications that were being discussed, implying a focused effort to build a case for his suitability. Were these discussions about his actual skills, or were they about finding a way to make his problematic past disappear behind a veneer of professional engagement? The implication is that there was an active campaign, orchestrated behind closed doors, to rehabilitate his image and repurpose his connections, however unsavory. Lawmakers' accusations that he prioritized Epstein ties over Britain aren't just political theater, they point to a fundamental question of loyalty and judgment. When a royal figure is perceived to be more concerned with maintaining relationships with individuals like Epstein, who represent the absolute nadir of moral and legal standing, it raises profound questions about their fitness for any public-facing role, let alone one involving sensitive international negotiations or trade agreements. What does this all mean? It means that the perception of the British monarchy, and by extension, the UK's standing on the global stage, could be further eroded. If these preparations for a trade role were indeed underway, it suggests a significant disconnect between the public's understanding of accountability and the internal machinations of power. It also suggests a potentially dangerous willingness to overlook severe ethical lapses for the sake of perceived strategic advantage, or perhaps simply to keep a prominent royal figure occupied and out of trouble. The individuals affected are far-reaching. British citizens, who expect their public figures to embody a certain standard of integrity, are likely to feel betrayed. International partners, engaging in trade discussions, would certainly question the credibility of a representative with such a heavily compromised background. And of course, the victims of Jeffrey Epstein and anyone who believes in justice would likely see this as a deeply offensive attempt to sanitize a history of abhorrent behavior. The possible outcomes are varied and significant. If these revelations lead to greater scrutiny and more robust accountability mechanisms within the royal family and government, it could be a positive step towards greater transparency. However, if this is seen as just another instance of the powerful protecting their own, it could fuel further public disillusionment and anger. It also raises questions about the checks and balances in place when individuals with such significant public profiles are being considered for sensitive roles, especially when their past is so heavily overshadowed by scandal. The very nature of trade diplomacy relies on trust and a spotless reputation. How could Prince Andrew, even with prepped qualifications, ever truly deliver that? So what do you think about this? Is it a sign of a desperate attempt to salvage a tarnished reputation, or a dangerous precedent of overlooking serious misconduct for the sake of appearances and perceived utility? Drop your opinion in the comments below. I read every single one. This story underscores a critical point. In the arena of global politics and diplomacy, trust and integrity are not optional extras. They are the very foundation upon which all successful relationships, and indeed, entire economies, are built. And when that foundation is demonstrably weakened, the consequences can be far-reaching and, frankly, devastating.